Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's tropical update. On this update, we're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Gonzalo that has formed this morning as of 8:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And before we get into the information about the system, if you enjoy the content of my channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you like today's video, hit that thumbs up. And if you want to stay up to date with all my uploads, hit that bell notification button. Now on to the update. Alright, here we are in the National Hurricane Center page, and as you can see, we got two disturbances on the board here. We got, disturbance 1 here, which is a 40-50% chance, and it looks like the Air Force reserves are going to go investigate it today. But we're not going to be talking about this one just yet. We're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Gonzalo here. This thing has really ramped up here in the last 6 hours, and we're now at a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm. The minimal potential pressure is 1,000 millibars, and it's located 9.9 north and 43.6 west. It is moving west at 12 knots or 14 miles an hour. So yes, we got our earliest G-name storm of all time. We are still beating out 2005 for the earliest named storms, which is amazing. And we still could see one or two more here before the month is even out. So, we don't know what's going to happen yet as we move forward. Alright, here are the latest info on Tropical Storm Gonzalo. Gonzalo continuing to strengthen, expected to become a hurricane. A hurricane. By tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, we could be seeing our first named hurricane by tomorrow in the Atlantic. Just like we seen our first named hurricane in the Pacific with Douglas just not that long ago either. So, with that being said, we'll take a look at some of these advisories here. So here's the movement. It's moving west at 270 degrees for all of you compass lovers out there. This is a really compact storm, so this can strengthen or weaken rather quickly because it's so compact. Just look at how far the tropical storm force wind speeds go out. Only 25 miles. It's not often you see a storm that small form out in the MDR. So that's why they are predicting this could become a hurricane rather quickly because it's so compact. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Key messages for Gonzalo can be found in the tropical cyclone discussion under such and such names. And the next complete advisory is at 5 p.m. AST or Eastern Daylight Time, however you want to look at it. Here comes the forecast discussion. And the intensity, as you can see, here we go. Hurricane force winds are going to be happening in the next 24 to 36 hours. By the National Hurricane Center, it looks like it's going to be peaking out at 80 miles an hour. So this is something that you're going to have to be watching here in the Leeward and Windward Islands going forward in time. And here's another key thing right here. Gonzalo is the earliest 7th named storm on record in the Atlantic Basin, beating Gert of 2005 by only 2 days. 2 days, guys. Here's some key messages here. Gonzalo is expected to move near or over the southern Windward Islands this weekend. It could bring direct impacts from winds and heavy rainfall. While it is too soon to determine the magnitude and timing of these impacts, interest in the southern Windward Islands should monitor progress of Gonzalo. So yes, this will be a threat for the Windward Islands, and I will be here to give you guys that information as we go forward in time. Alright, we're going to take a look at tropical tidbits now. And as you can see, this is Gonzalo right here. And you can see it has winds of 40 knots, which is equal out to 50 miles an hour. Usually when you go up higher in knots, it'll go up higher, like say like 5, 10, 15, 20 miles per hour more than what the knots are. So 40 knots is roughly equivalent to 50 miles an hour. And gusts is at 50. 150 knots, so that's probably 60 to 65 miles per hour in gust. They do not have the central pressure, right? It's 1,000 millibars, not 1,003. Radius of circulation is 150 nautical miles. Radius of maximum wind is 20 nautical miles, which is equal out to 25 miles. And as you can see by this chart right here, most of the most of the wind is on the northwest and northeast side of the system. So the south and southeast are it has some rain on those quadrants, but not as much wind as the northern quadrants. Here is the National Hurricane Center forecast track, and as you can see, it's going to go straight into the Caribbean in the next 5 days. Now, some of the models, like I'm going to show you here soon, some of the models have this dying out, while some have this surviving enough and going into the Gulf and forming something kind of major. But that we're not going to be able to know that for another, 4, 5, 6 days out, if that actually comes to fruition or not. Here's the intensity guidance for Tropical Storm Gonzalo. As you can see, there's a lot of them that are taking it up to hurricane status, and there's even some that are taking it up to Category 2, which is about 90-95 miles per hour winds. We can't rule out a Category 2. We really can't. Category 1 is probably 80 or 90% chance of happening. It's pretty high up there. But I don't know what the GFS is doing here. As we all know, the GFS isn't particularly good with tropical systems. Even though it has done well this season, it's not relatively known for tropical development storms. That I think that's why that this is not doing much with a modest tropical storm with Gonzalo at this current time. But as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 models have this going up to hurricane. So, that's a pretty good chance. Pretty good chance. Speaking of GFS, we're going to take a look at the forecast models here. And as you can see, there's our 1,000 millibar Tropical Storm Gonzalo right there. So let's go out through time. And as you can see, it deepens to 997, which is getting pretty strong up there. There's 995. I think it peaks out. Yeah, it peaks. It looks like it peaks out at 995. I had to double down there real quick because I couldn't see it very well. And then it goes into Windward Islands here as a weak to moderate tropical storm, and then it kind of just fizzles out of nowhere. I'm assuming that's because of dry air in the area, but I could be wrong on that. But that is what that is showing with the GFS. I'm going to take a look at the wind speeds here on here, the GFS, the 850 millibar wind. And as you can see, there's some tiny specks of yellow popping up in there. So, this is a tropical storm when you see yellows on the map. And as you can see, as we go forward, some reds start to pop up as well. So that's a strong tropical storm going forward. Maybe even trying to get up there to a hurricane. 993 pressure. That's getting dangerously close to a hurricane. And as you can see, this high pressure right here is really strong. That's why it's keeping it so far to the south at this current point in time. So, as we get out through time, it starts to weaken once it gets past the Windward Islands here, and it just fizzles out. Like they call the Caribbean the hurricane graveyard for a reason, because you got the wind shear and the whatever dust is left in there at some points of the season. So that's not why that's a thing. Anyways, let's take a look at the European here and see what they have to say. Where am I at here? I need to go back. The European is way off on this. And the European, this is the opposite between European and the GFS. GFS is not so good with predicting this stuff. The European is supposed to be King Euro, as people like to call it. But as you can see, the King Euro is off by 9 millibars here. So let's go out through time, and the European has nothing with it, which is weird because the National Hurricane Center does have something with it. So I don't know what the European is doing here, but yes, the European says nah, we're not doing anything with it. So no point of really taking a look at the wind speeds here because the European makes it a dud. So the last thing I want to take a look at here is the CMC, and as you can see, here's our system right here. There's 1,008 millibars according to the CMC, and we're gonna go out all the way through time here. As you can see, it goes through the Windward Islands, and then really starts to ramp up once we get holy cow, what is that? At 982 millibar, right as it's gonna go into Cancun. But then again, guys, please take this with a grain of salt. This is 8 days out, so anything can change. But the CMC has been consistent on this system forming up, so this could very well verify as we go out through time. But I'm not gonna say, "Hey, Cancun, get ready for a hurricane" just yet, because that's as I said, that's 8 days out from now. Actually, let's take a look at the wind speeds here before I get out of here for today. Okay, here we go. And we gotta wait for it to load up here. And as you can see, yep, here we go. You see the greens popping up, and that's tropical storm force winds. And as you can see, it starts to grow in size a little bit as we go out through time. And as you can see, this is where it goes into Windward Islands. This is more concerning, as this is only 3 days away instead of compared to like 8 days away. So you can see reds and dark reds popping up there. So that's around I don't know, about 58 to 64 knots, which is getting up there to hurricane force. And there we go. We're gonna go out through time again. As you can see, those numbers really start to pick up. We're starting to get pinks and light pinks in there, which is 80 to 96 knots, which is becoming a major hurricane. Again, I'm not here to fearmonger. I'm here to show you with my own eyes what I see on the forecast models. Um, yeah, I would say for anywhere from the Windward Islands to Cancun, Mexico, to maybe even Texas. Texas probably, way out there, like 10 days out. So these 3 locations might want to pay close attention to this system right now, because it could get bad, and it could get bad really really quickly. And CMC wants to bring up another hurricane here, but that's going to be a discussion for another time. And hopefully this doesn't pan out, which that's scary. It looks like it may come to my neck of the woods here in Florida. So I'll keep an eye on this stuff for you guys, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and have a nice day.